Hey everyone, it's Clint. Welcome to Sweetcast. It's a Monday, and I'd like to talk about something fun. We kind of have to talk about the election. There's no way around it. Not specifically the election and anything that has to do with politics or policy, but it has to do with interpersonal relationships that are going to be destroyed, hobbies that will become unbearable, social media will become unbearable. Everything will be ridiculous if a certain candidate doesn't win. Um, now, this, if you're just here to enjoy comics, that's not your fault. But as we've seen in 2016, that's the way that it ends up happening. If someone doesn't get their way, there will be tantrums thrown, and it's all going to be fun and games. It'll be amusing for a few weeks, maybe a month. But then when the tantrums continue for years, uh, who wins? Nobody wins. So there's this sort of inherent blackmail in, if I don't get my way politically, now anybody that voted differently than I did, your hobby is going to be unbearable. And I will prove it to you. We're gonna look at some tweets. It's coming up, and I'll tell you, me personally, no matter what happens, I'm gonna shrug and I'm gonna move on. I think that's what normal people do. It's just you can't sustain anger for that long, but apparently there are some out there that can, and they all work in comics. How about that? So before we get into the video, Fatal's on Indiegogo right now. We passed $86,000. Thank you very much, everybody. Really appreciate your support on this campaign. Please check it out. It's in the link in the description below. Help us to get to that 90K stretch goal, and things will get even better. The books are going to be improved with their bindings. They can lay flat and open, and you can enjoy the art from afar, even if you want. Also, Downcast is on Indiegogo as well in demand. We have been climbing. Actually, we're past $42,000, and you can back it to get volume 1 and volume 2. These are the last of our volume 1 books, and so you can get those. The print run was a little bit smaller than it should have been, but who knew? Also, there's original art for sale as well. Okay, so hopefully that wasn't too long. Here we go. Dan Slott. Okay, so what has happened here is there's essentially a threat, and you've seen it time and time again, and that is it's kind of like a child throwing a tantrum. Okay, throwing an absolute tantrum if they don't get their way. The pattern is the threat, really. Now, if they don't get their way again, they're going to throw the tantrum again. A fit will be thrown. They will ruin your hobby. This happened in 2016 because people couldn't get over it. They couldn't separate politics from comics. They could not do it. Dan Slott is one of those. Could not do it. And when you have your biggest writers, biggest talent working in comics that are leading the charge, and they're demonstrating how professionals act in comics, everyone else is free to follow suit. Because if Dan Slott can talk about literally breaking up the Union, breaking up the United States over an election, then why can't some guy working in the indies? Why can't someone their first year working in comics? Why can't any given editor? If Dan Slott does it, there, to talk about responsibility, my goodness, the hypocrisy is crazy. So Dan Slott's going off, and again, I'm all for freedom of speech, but the implication here is that if Dan does not get his way, you cannot follow him on Twitter. I'm checking this in an incognito window because I can't. He has blocked me just for existing, for who else I follow, and you're not gonna be able to enjoy his comics because he will spike the football in his comics. If you haven't already stopped reading them. Dan Slott saying the first week he's not president, how many people do you think will cancel their Mar-a-Lago memberships? Here's this one. Would you be okay with just saying screw it and having a red country and a blue country and saying see ya to whichever one you weren't in? Yeah, that wouldn't last for very long. It would be maybe a year, 6 months to a year, and then you'd have the country finding new Nazis that were not woke enough. That would happen. Uh, okay, so it goes on here. Editor Heather Antos. We'll get down here. All proceeds are going to Planned Parenthood. Here we go. Beverly Hills, California. Thousands of patriots gathered to show their support for President Trump. How many of them were paid extra taxes? Again, and then this leads into Chuck Wendig too. As we narrow the days to the election down to 2, I'd like to just take a moment to say, ah ha 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 ha, foo ha 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 ha. I don't know what that means. He's absolutely lost his mind. This is exactly how I picture him sitting at his desk right now, losing his mind. The threat here is that if if they don't get their way politically, your comics are at stake. How do you win that situation? I guess you'd have to take their advice, and when they say if you don't like it, don't buy it, you just don't buy it. I guess that's okay too. I don't know what else to say about this other than I'm interested to see how it goes. One way or another, it's going to be like this is going to happen. It's going to be crazy. And that's because people don't know how to adult well. One way or the other, I know me for one, I know a lot of people plan to just carry on and keep making comics. It's not really going to affect things directly. You can't let it ruin your life. The problem is when it gets forced into your hobby. How do you enjoy that hobby? I don't know how to do it. If you have tips, let me know. It's in the comments below. Also, don't forget to check out Fatal on Indiegogo. Help us to hit that next stretch goal, which is $90,000. And I will see you in the next video.